Welcome. In this session, we're going to introduce you to the opportunities available during your time at Michigan Ross to have a social impact. Whatever your passion is, environmental sustainability, human rights, alleviating poverty, impact investing, Ross has amazing options. We're going to describe courses, student clubs, co-curricular activities, and more. You'll also hear from 4 Ross BBA students who are already having a big impact to give you some real-world examples of what you can do at Ross. And if you ever feel lost, just remember to visit rossimpact.com, which is a gateway to help you map out your impact journey. You're going to have 2 guides for this session. I'm Jerry Davis. I'm the Associate Dean for Business and Impact. Like you, I attended the University of Michigan. Unlike you, I majored in philosophy and psychology, or what my mom called pre-unemployment. I also want to introduce Kat. Kat, say hi.
Hi, I'm Kat Johnson. I'm the Managing Director of Business Plus Impact here at Ross. I'm a Ross MBA and a dual degree MSW alum, and I joined Jerry in pre-unemployment by majoring in linguistic anthropology when I was in college. And in my career, I have worked to tackle poverty and homelessness through business and to be a change agent through higher education. I spent about a decade launching and managing social enterprises and in higher education leadership, and I'm super excited to share some opportunities to build impact into your experience at Ross and to help you think about how you can build impact into your future more broadly.
All right, as you know, a business degree opens up a lot of possible pathways after graduation. I want to share a couple of examples of people who earned business degrees and how they chose to use their talents after business school. First is Martin Shkreli. He owned a BBA at an East Coast school that I'm not going to name, but it was not Ross. Let's hear a little bit about Martin's story.
It's Friday night in Midtown Manhattan, and I'm here to hang out with Martin Shkreli, who became famous in October for raising the price of a drug that's used to treat HIV-positive patients by more than 5,000%.
The drug in question is called Daraprim. It used to cost $13.50 per pill. Turing changed the cost to a whopping $750.
That's price gouging, pure and simple.
Martin Shkreli is a 32-year-old entrepreneur and company builder from Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn. After increasing the price of Daraprim overnight, he became the poster child for capitalistic greed. Shkreli ran with the bad boy image, flaunting his trollish behavior in the media. He's not your typical pharma tycoon anyway. Over the past year, he's funded an indie record label, claimed he would bail Bobby Shmurda out of jail, and purchased the only copy of a legendary Wu-Tang Clan album, with no immediate plans to play it. In December, Shkreli was indicted on securities fraud charges and is now under investigation by both Congress and the Federal Trade Commission for price gouging. So his time in the spotlight isn't over yet.
Now let's hear from Cynthia Koenig. Cynthia Koenig, unlike Martin, attended Michigan Ross. Let's hear her story.
Hello. 2 years ago, I stood on this stage and told you about a problem that was keeping me up at night. About 75% of Indian families don't have a tap in their homes. And globally, this number skyrockets to 3 billion people who lack reliable access to safe water on tap. Now, in an age of mobile money and smartphones and drones, how is it possible that hundreds of millions of women and girls are still wasting hours every single day hauling heavy loads of water when they have way better things to do with their time? I didn't know the answer, but I got curious. And my curiosity led me to dozens upon dozens of villages. I carried hundreds of liters of water and prototyped and iterated and tested ideas with thousands of villagers. After 2 years of having water wheels in use, the consumers who are using it are finding they're spending half as much time on water collection. They're getting twice as much water. They're reporting better health, more time to spend on the important things like school and jobs. And in some cases, they're even doubling their incomes. But rather than me tell you about it, I would love for them to tell you about it.
झालं ते पण 20% जास्त झालं ते पण छान वाटलं.
मी विहिरीत नाही जात, नाही घेतलं तर मी पाणी नाही आणत. तुम्ही आणा, मी स्वयंपाक करून देणार, पण पाणी नाही आणणार.
हे बघा, माझ्या गावची 58 लोकांची यादी आहेत माझ्याकडे, आणि या सर्व लोकांना वाटत आहे की आम्हाला वॉटर व्हील लवकरात लवकर मिळावा, आणि सर्व लोक वॉटर व्हीलच्या प्रतीक्षेत आहेत.
All right. Now, I think we can agree that both Martin and Cynthia had a real impact on the world one way or another. And it's up to you to decide how you want to use your degree. I can tell you that Cynthia is always welcome back to campus warmly. She recently gave an interview over here. Over 100 people showed up for her session. Martin is a bit less welcome at his college reunion. Maybe at the end of this session, we can do a quick quiz to decide which course you want to follow when you finish your Ross degree. So what is Business and Impact? Business and Impact is an initiative started 3 years ago by Dean Scott DeRue to elevate the impact of business on our broader society and to train our students to be positive change makers when they leave school. Ross School's mission has 3 parts: creating powerful ideas, educating purpose-driven leaders, having a positive impact on society. Business plus Impact aims to get powerful ideas out into the world, educating purpose-driven leaders to be change makers and to greatly expand the positive impact of the school. One of our big initiatives is the Impact Studio that just rolled out this fall. It's a new space within the school that uses design thinking to translate research insights into businesses, social enterprises, and public policies that have a positive impact. One of our first efforts was to help marketing professor Eric Schwartz take his research insights about getting lead out of the water supply in Flint and blow them up into a new business that's in startup mode right now, employing some of our former students. You can be part of some of the studio's activities over the course of your time at Ross. Now I'll hand it over to Kat.
Absolutely. And like Jerry said, the studio, it works across impact areas. And so if you want to get some experience with design thinking and applying it for impact, you should definitely attend our workshops and events that are open to all of U of M students. Okay, so what you see here is the Impact Gateway. And if you are going to remember just one thing from this presentation, it should be this. The Impact Gateway, located rossimpact.com. It's a searchable platform designed to help you learn about opportunities and really map out your journey. It includes all impact activities, not just at Ross, but the entire university. So literally all things: events, courses, clubs, community service opportunities, career resources. You can see in the drop down the headers that we've got. It really is comprehensive. So definitely bookmark that. But there are a number of other ways that you can also learn about impact opportunities on campus. So B+I does serve as a clearinghouse for impact. So I would draw your attention towards our annual showcase that we host that pulls programs and clubs and organizations from across campus every fall. But we also have a number of different outreach channels, including a monthly newsletter that has curated opportunities, social media, emails, website, blog, etc. But another really important way to find out about opportunities and to get involved is by engaging with centers and clubs doing impact work. Another great way is to connect with our B+I ambassadors, 2 of whom are speaking later on. And then for career resources, there's CDO and impact peer coaches. All right, so, I want to recognize that we know there are so many competing priorities and opportunities, and that each of you is incredibly busy. But if you think for a minute about an issue that you care about, something that you want to see change, or a place that you want to see change. Perhaps, you're passionate about sustainability, impact investing, you have an idea for a social enterprise. Right now, more than ever, there is an incredibly strong case for why impact is worth exploring while you're here at Ross. And whether it would be through activities that are outside of your day job, whether it's through your traditional career path or an impact-focused career, you can make meaningful change, and your business skills are really critical to moving the needle on big issues. The other reason that I would call attention to consider impact careers is because they are amazing learning experiences that are actually going to enhance your core business skills. Multifaceted business challenges are tough to begin with, but using your business skills to tackle big societal challenges adds a whole new layer of complexity. So it makes for great learning, regardless of whether you're doing finance or consulting or marketing or some other path, and it's really fundamentally great content for interviews. So the slides that we're about to go through, they're organized by topical area. They include coursework, clubs, and co-curricular activities. And then our student speakers are gonna highlight some of their experiences with particular opportunities that they'll call out. And I really wanna stress that the things covered here are highlights. They're meant to give you just a taste for what's out there, and there's a lot more. And I would encourage you to always come back to rossimpact.com. All right, we are gonna start off with sustainability. And if you're interested in sustainability topics, food systems, climate, energy, water, there's a range of curricular options. And if you want to click ahead through those, Glenn, that would be great. Thank you. Okay, so I'm actually going to start with courses. A great way to dip your toe in these sorts of topics would be through just taking a course within Ross or outside of the school itself. There are numerous classes in a range of departments around campus. Here at Ross, you will get some great exposure to sustainability through BA 200, which you take next year. Another course is sustainability in the campus, and there's many others, as I said, through the PIPE program, econ, anthropology, public health, but one we thought would be neat to share is this in the middle, the bubble here in the middle, Food Literacy for All. This is a community academic partnership course about sustainable food systems, and it's structured as an evening lecture series. So it's a neat learning model that's in the evenings, which I think can be attractive to some folks. And if you wanted to get a bit more in-depth engagement with these topics, you could consider either a concentration through the PIPE program, which is the program in the environment, or they also offer a number of minors through a variety of different sustainability topics. Additionally, there's the Herb Institute. The Herb Institute is a partnership between the Ross School and the School for Environment and Sustainability. They have a new undergraduate fellowship program that launched just this year that combines business and sustainability education, both within the classroom and outside of the classroom, to help you gain the skills to create a sustainable world for all. But in addition to that, they have great events and speakers and are really just an awesome community within the Ross School. Looking at co-curricular and club opportunities around sustainability, and thank you, Glenn, clicking through. The campus farm, I want to start here. If you haven't had a chance to visit the farm, I highly encourage that you do so. It is a working farm, and it's a student-run learning lab where all the food that's grown goes to university dining. So it's food grown by students for students, and they have an internship program, or you can just volunteer episodically or simply visit. But it's a great way to get out in nature and like watch the vegetables grow. So I would encourage you to check that out. Another neat opportunity is called Blue Lab. This is a student organization that designs sustainable technology. They typically have 10 or more projects that are focused on areas like agriculture, water, energy, et cetera. And those are multidisciplinary teams working on those technologies. Lastly on this slide is the Graham Sustainability Scholars Program. It has some parallels to the Herb Undergraduate Fellows Program. There's definitely some distinctions, but if something like that could be of interest, I would encourage you to check out both of those programs. They each have a curricular component, a co-curricular component, and then some kind of field-based or practical learning. Okay, we are going to move on to the topic of international development and human rights. And we're going to first look at coursework. And we wanted to call out the class Strategy 445. This class is with Ted London, and it's called Base of the Pyramid, Business Innovation and Social Impact. It's a really popular class that integrates concepts of strategy, international business, entrepreneurship, nonprofit management, and it's really all about fostering leadership skills and imagination to help design, pilot, and scale BOP enterprises. Also here at Ross is Global Initiatives. Now, right now, it's perhaps a bit unclear of exactly what would be offered and when, but it's really good to keep in mind looking ahead that there are experiences like a service learning program in Guatemala over spring break, as well as a sustainable business course in Switzerland. And that's typically offered, I think, in late summer as well. And if you're interested in human rights or international development, you would also want to take a look at some of the classes in the Ford School of Public Policy. They have a large number of courses related to these topics. They also have an international studies, or there is rather an international studies minor and major, if you wanted to go a bit more in depth. Looking at other co-curricular opportunities, there's the William Davidson Institute Global Impact Speaker Series, and that features practitioners and innovators who are working in emerging markets. We also have the Faculty Research for Impact Workshop Series, and that is run by the Impact Studio, which we mentioned earlier in the presentation. And that workshop series is basically design thinking for impact. It's open to all Michigan students. And during the workshops, the students hear from Ross faculty whose research directly connects to one of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And then the students work together in teams to use design thinking to develop ways to put those research insights into practice. Additionally, there is the Business and Society Speaker Series, which is run by the Ross School, and that has a lot of great content, so check that out. And finally, in this section is the Emerging Markets Club. So if this is something that you think could be a career interest, I would particularly encourage you to check out Emerging Markets Club. They do offer a great deal of support around careers and events and other educational opportunities. Okay. Now we are going to move on to positive organizations. If you are interested in positive organizational scholarship, and in case you're not sure what that is, it's really about enabling leaders to build high-performing organizations that can bring out the best in people. So if that sounds interesting to you, you're in luck because there's a world-class research center right here at Ross. It's called the Center for Positive Organizations. There's a number of different classes at Ross that are kind of particularly informed by positive organizational scholarship. Some of these are listed here, but it's important to keep in mind that there are more courses that are listed both on Center for Positive Organizations site, as well as our Impact Gateway, which again is searchable, so you can search any topic, positive organizations being one of them, and find courses associated with those topics. One notable thing related to positive organization coursework, there's a course called Magnify, and it's a really popular spring course for undergraduates. It is going to be run, it will be virtual, but it is still available. So definitely check that out if that could be an interesting way to spend your spring semester. Okay, lastly for positive organizations, we have co-curricular experiences. And the Center for Positive Organizations offers a program called the Plus Lab. It runs throughout the academic year, and it's more of a prolonged and kind of, it's a cohort experience. There's weekly huddles and different speakers that come in, and the main purpose is to help immerse students in the theory and practice of positive organizational scholarship. All right, and with that, I'm excited to introduce our first student spotlight speaker, Jen Maiorana. She is a BBA 2020. You'll see from the slide that Jen is making a huge impact and is a great resource on a number of different kinds of opportunities and topical areas. Just a couple quick highlights. She's the co-president of the Net Impact Chapter. She's a PIPE major, a Grand Sustainability Scholar, among a number of other activities which she can touch on. So Jen, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Kat, and for the nice introduction. I'm really excited to be here to share a little bit about my journey through Ross and my kind of discovery of impact. I definitely had a lot of experience in the sustainability, poverty alleviation, and positive organization space, and I'll kind of go through a little bit of my experiences. So when I came in as a freshman, I knew I wanted to do some sort of business with a positive impact on the world, but I felt kind of lost. I joined the Emerging Markets Club kind of on a whim and got a marketing position and enjoyed that, but it was a lot of MBAs and I was having trouble kind of finding an undergraduate community. In my freshman year winter semester, I took Org Studies 208 with Sarah Soderstrom, which is all about business and the natural environment. And I fell in love with the idea that business, environmental sustainability, and positive social impacts don't have to be mutually exclusive. This idea of the triple bottom line where each one kind of enhances one another when done strategically. And I instantly knew I wanted to be a business leader in this space and be changing corporations from the inside. So at the end of freshman year, I actually kind of mentally decided that I wanted to declare a dual degree with Ross and program in the environment. And I strategically planned my next 3 years based on that. So I stayed 2 extra spring terms. So freshman year, I just kind of worked on some distribution. And sophomore year, I took Magnify. So as Kat mentioned, Magnify is an immersive spring term program that is honestly incredible. It really helps me reframe my identity at Ross. It really helps me become a positive leader and learn just about these concepts that I knew in theory, but it gave me an actual kind of research-based approach to be leveraging those in an organization. So it's kind of this positive organizational scholarship, which is a fancy term for integrating that positive psychology into the business world. So I love learning about how making employees happy at work could in turn benefit the bottom line and in turn enhance the company's mission. And I took my first steps towards exploring human resources, which was a career path that I had never considered before. My immersion week was actually spent at General Motors, looking at their global performance system. And that actually helped me land my junior year internship and my full-time job offer. So I will be returning to GM in the fall. And I mentioned before, I wanted to be this positive force advocating for climate change at a big corporation, and this is exactly what I'm going to be doing. GM's mission is a future with zero crashes, zero emissions, and zero congestion. So as an HR professional, I'm able to empower employees and make them feel more motivated at work, which in turn propels their mission, or in turn propels performance and gets GM to that mission of an electric autonomous future quicker. HR is also an area that touches every aspect of the business. So behavioral changes all stem from kind of that HR component. So through the HR lens, I was able to pitch kind of this new sustainability behavior during my internship that I'll work on rolling out during my full-time job. So it really is making this huge impact on people and on the environment through a traditional business role, which I think is really cool and really powerful. And all of that was thanks to Magnify. Really amazing opportunity, really engaging, got to meet so many amazing friends who I'm still really close with. And the Center for Positive Organizations is full of just gems, great people. They're always willing to help. Would definitely recommend Magnify if you have the space and the time. Kind of looking back at Emerging Markets Club, so that was something I've been involved in since freshman year. It's a pretty low time commitment, so I'd recommend it to anyone who's interested in emerging markets. And then I decided to take Ted London's class junior year. So that was the one that Kat mentioned before, Strat or BA 445. And my group was tasked with working on this venture analysis for a biodigester company in Cambodia, which I studied abroad in Cambodia my junior year. So it was a really cool opportunity to kind of see and learn about the culture and about different innovations before actually going there. So my semester abroad in Cambodia was actually able to happen because I was in Graham Scholars. So Graham Scholars has this field-based component and they give you money to be able to go abroad. So a lot of that was funded through Graham Scholars. So it's kind of this cohort of students, and the main aspect is that practical experience that they help you fund. So I spent the semester abroad in Cambodia through Program in the Environment. Actually, I didn't do a Ross Global program. I did a Program in the Environment one because I was trying to stack a lot of my PITE requirements for that semester. If anyone's interested in the dual degree, I'm happy to answer any questions on how I did it in 4 years as well. But I spent the semester studying environmental ethics and development, really fell in love with it there, fell in love with so many different new ideas. And it kind of inspired me to refine my PITE specialization as ethically utilizing the triple bottom line in emerging market development. I also was able to do a month of research where I was examining solid waste management policy by both interviewing people and analyzing policy documents, and then we actually were able to deliver our results to the Ministry of Environment. Each sentence was translated to them directly, and they took our recommendations pretty seriously, which was really, really awesome, and one of the most impactful things I think I've done in my 4 years. So that was all enabled by Graham Scholars and by the initial exposure from Ted London's class. And then senior year, I was able to have the amazing opportunity to be one of Ted London's teaching assistants for that same course. And that has just been an awesome opportunity as well. I'm still actually doing research for him right now. And then we also have a new opportunity to be doing research for Unilever Shakti Initiative, which is awesome too. So still kind of continuing to have that impact, even though I'm outside of that class as well. So I'm always happy to answer any questions that you guys have about impact, about my journey, about the things that I've done. My unique name is JENNMAIO, and I'm available on LinkedIn as well. Well, I'll pass it back over. Thanks for listening.
Oh, thanks very much, Jen. It was really amazing to hear about your journey. And part of what I love that you described is that you did not stay just within the Ross building, that you were able to take advantage of resources across the University of Michigan. I'd say this is true whether you have an impact focus or not. Michigan is good at everything, like everything. We have the best social work school, an amazing law school. We're really good at everything. So, take a tip from Jen that there's just great things that you can access while you're in Ann Arbor at the University of Michigan beyond Ross. But Ross is also good. So I have to, one of the things that we're really good at is impact investing. And it turns out that Ross is really a pioneer when it comes to the impact investing space. So if you flip to the next thing, one of the things that Michigan is famous for is creating the very first student-run social venture fund anywhere in the world. It was created in 2009 by a group of Ross students. Currently, the team has about 35 to 40 BBAs and MBAs. It invests in and supports innovative companies that place social impact at the heart of their business model. So that's a pretty fantastic thing where Ross is a pioneer. You can also take the course ES 444, Finance for Societal Good. Michael Gordon teaches this, and it covers everything on finance, from microfinance to social finance to impact investing in the developed and the developing world. Every week there's another accomplished guest speaker that brings some of their real world insights to bear on topics around sort of finance for societal good. And the last thing that's also really unique to Michigan is the Living Business Leadership Experience that Mike Barger teaches. This is a course that mixes advanced MBAs and BBAs into a single course, and where you run an actual business from within the school. A lot of these businesses that are being run are socially oriented enterprises like Warmaloo, which is a startup created using creating the equivalent of a baby incubator, but for low-income countries without access to electricity. So Warmaloo, other enterprises in the Living Business Experience are pretty outstanding. And next I could describe some clubs that go on at the Ross School. We have several clubs oriented towards both consulting and investing for good. So the Impact Investing Group is there to motivate, excite, and educate undergraduates on the impact investing space. Has an annual conference they just held a few weeks ago, which was quite amazing. They do research, consulting, and microfinance. There's also a community consulting club. This matches current Ross and Michigan students with local nonprofit organizations in consulting projects that clients might not otherwise be able to afford. It's a way for you to learn consulting skills, even if you don't have prior experience. It's also a great way for the organizations to benefit from high-end business talents. 180 Degrees Consulting works with social enterprises and nonprofits to develop innovative, practical, sustainable solutions to whatever challenge they're facing in order to maximize their social impact. And last, the Propel Social Impact and Positive Business Club is really aimed at educating students at Michigan on the intersection between positive business and social impact. It works alongside local organizations developing initiatives to try to maximize what their impact is. So you can see there's a lot of opportunities if you have an impact orientation while you're at Michigan Ross. And next I want to hand it over to Jillian Cobb, who's the co-president of Net Impact, which won Chapter of the Year at the recent Net Impact Annual meeting. She's a president of the Michigan Impact Investing Symposium that I just mentioned, and she's a Career Development Office peer coach. Jillian, take it away.
Thanks, Jerry. So I'm really happy to be here to kind of share my story through Ross. I'm a senior in the BBA program, concentrating in finance and accounting, and also doing a minor in the program in the environment. So when I got to Ross, I quickly realized through my classes and such that I was interested in finance and accounting. So like many students, I joined a finance club in Ross, and I loved what I was learning. And I quickly kind of realized that everyone in that club was at least seriously considering recruiting for investment banking. And I sort of found myself going down that path as well. And I just didn't really know why. I'd almost felt funneled into that direction as if it was the only option if I was interested in finance. And I did think that the job looked interesting, but I didn't know if I could be motivated or if I would enjoy the job if it didn't have any connection to the environment or sustainability, because that's what I really cared about. So I wanted to at least consider other career options. So around that time, I'd also joined Net Impact, which is a club focused on the intersection of business, sustainability, and social impact. And it has a great network. So I started by having a coffee chat with a senior, and he introduced me to the concept of impact investing. And basically from that first conversation, I knew it was exactly what I wanted to do. So I started researching and talking to people in the Ross community, and found that the best way for me to personally end up in impact investing would be to start in investment banking. But then I was able to approach the recruiting process with kind of a renewed sense of purpose and direction. And I ended up finding a firm that does a lot of work with renewable energy. So I landed an internship there, and I'm going back full-time, hopefully joining the power and utilities group. So getting to learn a lot about renewable energy financing. So I feel like I'm staying connected to my values, but also preparing myself for work in impact investing down the line. So it was really through Net Impact that I got to learn about this career. And it's because the network of people in that club the knowledge is so vast, and everyone is really passionate and willing to share. So it essentially gave me the resources to take what I was learning in the classroom and in other clubs and connect it to my values and kind of forge a career out of it. So I loved this community so much that I stayed involved through a project manager role, and then as the VP of Sustainability, and now the co-president, along with Jen, who you just heard from. And it's been a really great place for me to connect with people, both as a mentee when I was a sophomore, and now as a mentor, kind of helping guide younger students through the process of figuring out how they can connect their values to a career. So I was really grateful for Net Impact for helping me find out about impact investing. I realized that it shouldn't have to be so hard for Ross students to learn about, because it's a really new industry with not a lot of resources, but it's a great opportunity and something that I thought a lot of students would be interested in. So this led me to do two things. First, I found a team of a few other students interested in impact investing, and together we founded the first Impact Investing Symposium at Michigan. So we invited speakers from across the industry to come to campus to speak on panels, network with students, and explain the potential career paths in the space. So we had over 100 students attend in 2019, and we're able to hold the event again this year. It happened last month, and similar attendance, lots of interest and excitement around the school, which was really cool to see. And I'm highlighting this not only because anyone interested in impact investing should definitely attend the event next year or try to get involved with planning it, but also to show that there are great possibilities for student-led initiatives in Ross. So I found this kind of gap because it was a new industry and it hadn't really been developed yet in the school. And I was able to just reach out to faculty and professors and student organizations and make the event a reality. And it was really cool for me to take on that leadership opportunity in an area that I was really passionate about. So the other thing I did when I wanted to explore impact investing more in Ross was apply to the Career Development Office to be a peer coach focused on impact investing. So with the rest of the Careers with Impact team, we've been working on creating resources so that impact-related careers can come to the forefront and feel more accessible. And I've also been having great one-on-one coaching appointments with students, kind of talking about my path and talking about how they might explore impact investing as well. So kind of just as a final message, I would say if you're interested in impact, please feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm happy to kind of share my guidance, but most of all, I just encourage you to find your community, take advantage of the resources that Ross offers that we're talking about today, and also create your own initiatives so you can make an impact on the school and help students in the future. So yeah, thank you so much for having me and for listening, and I'll pass it back now.
Thanks very much, Jillian. I do want to highlight what an amazing job you did in creating that Impact Investing Symposium. Business Plus Impact was able to help support last year and this year, and I attended the inaugural event and met a half dozen amazing investment professionals, and we had these great conversations. And so it was really nice to be able to create those, and the fact that you were able to start an organization like this and build it up just shows that the resources for entrepreneurship are available even while you're a student at Ross in creating events like this. Yeah, so I really appreciate the work that you put in there. I next want to move on to talk about what are the opportunities in Detroit. So Detroit was arguably the most important city in America in the 20th century. It created the auto industry, it created the emergence of the blue-collar middle class, the development of the New Deal, and now it's in the midst of this really interesting reinvention of itself from an industrial city to a post-industrial city. And it's a fascinating, wonderful place. I spend a lot of time there myself, as has Kat. But there's great things that you can do while you're at the University of Michigan and Ross to connect with Detroit and be part of the amazing things going on there. The first one is a semester in Detroit. This is an LSA-based course where students do a study term residing in Detroit. So it's like a semester abroad, but in this great American city where you reside in Detroit and take your courses there. So that's a wonderful thing to look into. There's a course in public policy on the history and future of Detroit. So this describes the changes going on in Detroit, looking at the policy developments in Rust Belt metropolises and the restructuring of employment. That's something that Ren Farley teaches. He's a major globally recognized expert on Detroit. There's the Detroit Initiative, American Culture 321. This is an experiential field course where students are assigned to work with community-based organizations and a variety of community education projects. These internships are supervised by an instructor and our program staff. It's a really good way to connect directly with the community. The fourth course offering I'd highlight is the history of Detroit in the 20th century, which is History 344, which covers sort of the broad arc of Detroit's history over the previous century. There are also a lot of great co-curricular options for working in Detroit. Detroit and the community more broadly. So right across the street from the Ross School is the Ginsberg Center. And this is this wonderful enterprise that's been around for roughly 40 years now. And it serves as kind of a thoughtful matchmaker to connect students and professors and initiatives at the university with opportunities out there in the community. And their main philosophy really is to make sure that those exchanges are equitable and mutually beneficial, that both sides get a real value out of it. And so they're this wonderful kind of matchmaker, connector between the university and the community, particularly in Detroit. One of the things I'd highlight coming up in the coming months is that they're doing a pretty big project on Get Out the Vote and trying to make sure that college students and others have a chance to vote in the coming elections. So that's a really nice thing. Second opportunity is the Detroit Accounting Outreach. We've been doing this for about 2 years now. Every Friday, BBA students from Ross who have completed their sophomore accounting sequence can go to Midtown Detroit and connect with Detroit-based entrepreneurs to help them grow their business. Mostly we've been doing this on site at the University of Michigan's Detroit Center in Midtown. More recently, for various reasons, we've adapted to a virtual version where you can connect with clients that way. And it's a great way to use your BBA skills right away to help someone. You'd be surprised how valuable it is for entrepreneurs to learn how to set up QuickBooks, how to calculate cost of goods sold, and so on. So it's a great service on both dimensions. Last, I want to point out a couple of great clubs that are connected with Detroit. The Detroit Revitalization and Business Club just had their 10th anniversary conference. So they've been around for 10 years now. They connect University of Michigan students with the great city of Detroit. They engage with the community and they commit to promoting the resurgence of this wonderful city. They just had their annual conference last month that I got to attend. And it was quite an event downtown at 1 Woodward Avenue and giving you a chance to see some of the great things happening in the city. The Detroit Partnership is another unique thing going on at the university. It connects Michigan students with Detroit-based community partners by facilitating service learning opportunities. There's a couple flavors of this. One is a weekly engagement where you might be tutoring kids in their academies, teaching kids how to play squash, helping adults get ID to get to jobs, things like that. So that's more of a weekly engagement. They help you with transportation if you need that to get to the city. They also have a bigger day-long opportunity where large groups of students from Michigan help out with opportunities in Detroit. I want to introduce Erin Go next. Erin is a wonderful BBA senior graduating in the very near future, I think within about a month or two. And I got to know Erin as a student partly through his work on Free Accounting Fridays in Detroit. And he'll tell you a little bit about what his story has been at the University of Michigan. Take it away, Erin.
Thanks, Jerry. Yes, well, like you mentioned, I'm a senior BBA. Should be graduating in a month, hopefully. But yeah, I think like a lot of you, I chose to study business because I was really fascinated in how business worked. Every day I turned on the news, it seemed like different business was highlighted, and it seemed like that was a place to go if you wanted to really like understand how to make an impact on the world. So when I got to Michigan, I started exploring ways to do that. Joined clubs like Net Impact, where I met great friends like Jen and Jillian. Met Jerry, who's been a great mentor to me along the way, and eventually led to me starting the Free Accounting Friday program, which is a free program for Detroit small business owners. One of the things I learned in the program is that a lot of small business owners have trouble with accounting because they either don't have the educational background or the connections to really have that in their business. And so that's the thing we try to help them with, like give them the support they needed in order to grow successful, help the local community, and ultimately create jobs. So I started that, and that experience really led me to think about how I can support local economies in an actual career, which led to me finding the Opportunity Finance Network and interning there the summer after my junior year. Essentially, they lend in disinvested communities, low-income communities across America. It's very similar to impact investing, like Jillian was talking about earlier. I really loved that experience because it let me actually have an impact as a junior in college, and also let me leverage my business background to do so. Yeah, and we'll ultimately be returning there sometime this summer, start date to be determined. But yeah, ultimately, like all my experiences in Ross and at Michigan have been very helpful for me in securing that and learning more about the world and how I can potentially have an impact there. So if any of you guys have questions, need some advice on how to do that, like please feel free to reach out.
Wonderful. Thank you, Erin. That's tremendous experience and so valuable to hear. Okay, we are now going to talk about social enterprise, social entrepreneurship, and the social sector more broadly, which oftentimes entails nonprofit engagement. We'll start by looking at coursework. The first thing I'd like to highlight is Project Community. This course is offered through the sociology department. It's a community-engaged learning experience taken through a sociological lens, and it looks at topics like public health, education, criminal justice. It has a community service component that's done weekly alongside lecture and discussion and reflection. So it's a really neat model that really gets you out in the community alongside some of these other experiences, particularly like what Erin just shared about with accounting outreach, Free Accounting Fridays. Another opportunity to consider if you are intrigued by entrepreneurship and really want to build some muscle there would be our entrepreneurship minor. So that's housed here at Ross. It's a multidisciplinary 15-credit minor, and it has a 6-credit practicum component, and they really strongly encourage co-curricular activity as well. So that's a neat one to add to your academic experience. Another minor to consider would be the Community Action and Social Change, or CASC minor. CASC students are building knowledge, skills, and experience around community action and social change and engagement. You'll hear a little bit more about that from Elsa in a moment. One other interesting opportunity would be SEAL, and that was on the previous slide, and I can just touch on that briefly. That supports and helps generate academically grounded community-based learning. So there's a number of different ways for students to engage with SEAL and some of the subgroups that come out of it, but if you're intrigued by community action, community engagement, that would be another entity to take a look at. Now, when we think about co-curricular opportunities, if you have like an idea or a nugget of an idea, or just an issue even that you're really passionate about, one thing that's not explicitly here on the slide, but I would touch back to, is our Impact Studio. The skills that you gain through engaging with the Impact Studio are really some of the foundational precursors to understanding how to approach a problem, especially a wicked problem. And it gives you some tools and frameworks to use for really approaching the work of creating and achieving impact through a design lens, which would really serve you as you enter any other opportunity within the entrepreneurial ecosystem. But I would start with the Michigan Business Challenge Segal Impact Track. So that is this fourth bubble in on the screen here. MBC Segal Impact Track is essentially a social venture business plan competition within a larger business plan competition, which is the Michigan Business Challenge. This year we had a kind of a particularly new and interesting structure where there were 3 tracks. There was an innovation track, an impact track, and boy, I'm blanking on the 3rd track, but there was a 3rd track. And the image that you see here is of our winning team in the impact track, Lily and Augusta. They make biodegradable synthetic hair. And what I want to highlight about that business is that Lily and Augusta won not only the impact track, but it actually won the Best in Business Award at this year's most recent Michigan Business Challenge, which was finals were back in February. And that's a real accomplishment for an impact team to win best out of all businesses, up for consideration. So I think that was a real turning point for us. B+I has helped found that competition and co-hosts it with the Zell-Lurie Institute and the Herb Institute. It's got a prize pool of $26,000. So again, if you're interested in either pursuing an idea or working on a team, this would be a great place to start. A couple other programs that I would want to pull out to you if you are interested in social entrepreneurship would be Optimize as well as Innovation in Action. There's a lot of similarities and parallels, but I would encourage you to pursue Michigan Business Challenge, Innovation in Action, as well as Optimize. They are by no means mutually exclusive, and you would really gain and glean different things from each of them, and they each have funding pools. Innovation in Action and Optimize are both 5 months long, and they're really about building skills to help you refine an idea, pursue your idea, and get off the ground. And then the bubble on the far right, the DECI Accelerator, this is an accelerator program that really exists to help students right at that point of exit of graduation. So it's open for very recent graduates who have early stage ventures. So if you're serious about pursuing something, it's good to know that there is an immediate kind of opportunity for you to take that to the next step. There is the Ginsberg Center covered here too, which Jerry shared about, but it is a wealth of resources to engage with the community, which can be particularly valuable if you're pursuing a social enterprise and need to get user feedback and engage to better understand your community, beneficiary, etc. Okay. The next topic we'll talk about is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we will first look at coursework. So one of the really neat things that is actually baked into the BBA experience are 3 required sessions called Identity of Diversity and Organization Sessions, IDO for short. These are designed to prepare students to interact with people who have different backgrounds and different experiences from their own. You will do the first of these in BA 200, so it's good to know that you have some shared grounding there. Additionally, on the far right of the screen, we call out the capstone project, the capstone map. If you choose to pursue a capstone project, this is another really good way to help shape or integrate topics of diversity, equity, inclusion into that action learning experience. Within clubs, there is the BBA DEI Task Force, which Elsa will share more about. That is comprised currently of 4 representatives that work together. They're focused on promoting a welcoming and inclusive environment for all students at the Ross School. A couple other clubs that I would highlight, which aren't listed here, but just good to be aware of if you're not already. There's the Michigan Businesswomen BBA club. So that's mentoring and professional and networking opportunities. There's Lean In at Michigan, the BBUS, which is the Black Business Undergraduate Society, as well as Out for Business BBA. So those are all some clubs that can really help with community building and to help kind of structure some of your engagement or advocacy work. Co-curricularly, I would mention the Ross Office of Diversity and Inclusion. It's just a great resource to keep in mind if you're passionate about or interested in these topics. The ACK Initiative for Women in Finance, if you're interested in any type of finance more broadly, career path, this is there to help you to explore those careers and those different career paths and get you connected. So that would be a great one to check out. And then lastly, there are several different, there's 2 centers and then an initiative that we've shared here. There's the Office of Multicultural Initiatives, the Trotter Multicultural Center, and the Spectrum Center. And what's good to know about these is that within the university ecosystem more broadly, they're there, they're resources, they offer wonderful programming, community building, and most of them also offer various types of funding opportunities. So always good to keep that in mind as well, to enable you to pursue some of these topics and areas of interest. So I am excited to introduce next Elsa Ramesh, a BBA 2020. Elsa is a CASC minor, and she is an incredible resource particularly on the topics of diversity, equity, inclusion, as well as others, but you can see here just how engaged she really is. She is an identity, diversity, and organization peer facilitator for that coursework that I mentioned, an intergroup relations facilitator, and a conflict resolution facilitator. So please welcome Elsa, and thank you for sharing.
Thank you for the warm introduction, Kat. And so I'm a business major, senior, minoring in community action and social change and intergroup relations. And I kind of knew I wanted to be a CASC minor before I even got into the business school. And that really kind of laid my foundation of interest. Through the program, you get to explore many different departments across campus and really find that core of social change. Through this experience, I was able to take classes like Project Outreach, where I volunteered for 40 hours in a semester, and as well as an activism class where I got to build out an entire campaign to increase student voting on campus, which was amazing. I'm also a participant and mentee for the Preparation Initiative program, which is a minority pipeline program in Ross. And that was kind of what sparked me and my friends and peers kind of starting the DEI task force. And this was a response to peers and friends who really wanted a change in the culture at Ross. And I've always also been very interested in institutional change as well as interpersonal change. Through CASC and IGR, I was really able to get this sense for interpersonal change, but not really any institutional change. And so Ross offered me the opportunity to explore that by incredible faculty and staff who stood alongside us and really supported us through this initiative. And that really speaks to how valued student-led initiatives are within Ross, and I really appreciated that. So through IGR, I got trained in how to facilitate workshops and dialogues and really have those honest conversations. And that led to our first event for the DEI task force, which was the Ross Culture Conversation, which really started with 60 students just sitting down and talking about what the culture looks like and what we want the culture to look like. And from that sprung the Ross Culture Club Conversation, where we kind of brought together club leaders across Ross and really had that conversation, since they are a pinnacle point and have a lot of power to create change within the student culture. So we worked through mainly 3 main prongs, which were students, faculty, and clubs. And I must say we got incredible support from all of these facets. We had holistic review conversations with club leaders as to how to make their application process more inclusive, We held allyhood workshops and unconscious bias workshops as well. And as we became more integrated within BBA Council, we changed our name to the DEI Committee to be more long-term within Council. And then through that, our club events actually became requirements for Ross Club leaders to attend in order to renew their club membership and to maintain that status and that funding from Council as well, which was amazing. We also recently held an accessibility workshop to talk about how to build events and workshops and communications to be more accessible for people with differing ability statuses. And we had speakers from Google come in as well. We were also tapped by Google employees to host an inclusive workshop about with more underrepresented students within Ross to talk about what going into the tech industry really looks like. We've created content for inclusive teaching Canvas pages and inclusive teaching video. And we even held a workshop with faculty to talk about how to create a more inclusive space within the classroom. We've held case competitions for high school students applying into Ross from underrepresented backgrounds. And every Monday we host a Moreno Monday session, which is basically a screen in the Winter Garden that highlights diverse leadership within business. And so all of this was amazing, and we got to present all of this at an undergraduate student government business conference that BBA Council runs. And this actually led to 2 other schools creating their own DEI task force modeled after ours, which was amazing. And it's great to see that inclusivity and DEI is becoming more important across business schools around the country. This in addition to being an IDEO facilitator kind of led to me winning the MLK Spirit Award for 2020 and my IGR independent study, which was focused on how to make classrooms in Ross more inclusive by incorporating more dialogical approaches to teaching. And during my internship at Microsoft, which I got through really talking about DEI, since this is becoming more important in the corporate space, I was actually able to lead a diversity and inclusion dialogue within the cloud marketing organization, which was amazing and led to my full-time offer. So I think really getting that support from faculty and students and clubs within Ross helped with a lot of these initiatives and really helped us be as successful as we have been with just really 4 leaders taking on this organization over the past 2.5 years.
Oh, thank you so much, Elsa. It's so inspiring to hear about your journey and what you were able to accomplish while you were at Ross, making change and creating the DEI task force. And the fact that you're going to take this set of skills and your background and passions out into the corporate world gives me some hope for the future. That we're going to see change like that out in the broader world. So thank you so much for sharing your journey. So we've now heard from 4 amazing BBAs who have taken really different pathways but accomplished amazing things while they are at Ross. Elsa, Jillian, Erin, Jen have all done different but amazing things during their time at Ross. So I hope this gives you a sense that this is all really possible. You can do this as well while you're spending your time at the University of Michigan. If you're still not sure about how you want to get involved, some options here. The first one is Join Net Impact. So thanks to the leadership of folks like those that we've heard from today, the Undergraduate Net Impact chapter is the one chapter of the year from Net Impact at the National Conference. They're a gold chapter, and it's a great way to get to know just as most broadly, what are the impact opportunities at Ross? And you've gotten to meet some of the folks who are most involved. So you want to meet folks like that, you should join Net Impact maybe later today. You can tailor your capstone map. So in your senior year, the last semester, you'll be working on a capstone map project. And many of the options available are social enterprises that you can work on, as well as small businesses in Detroit that you can help out, as Erin has been doing. You can use your integrative semester. In fall of your junior year, you'll be involved in the Ross Integrative Semester. This is a place where your classes in operations, law, management, communications, all combine to give you an impact-oriented experience. Last year, the thesis was, come up with ways that the University of Michigan can better meet its commitments to reduce its carbon footprint. And so the juniors in their fall were spending their time finding ways to use what they've learned in business school to take on this big challenge at the University of Michigan. And last of the IDO sessions that Kat talked about most recently. So there's a lot of opportunities. Some of these, you're not going to miss your fall semester in your junior year. You're not going to miss your IDO experiences. You're not going to miss your capstone map. All of these can be customized in a way that enhance your impact opportunities while you're at Ross. And of course, when in doubt, visit the Impact Gateway at rossimpact.com. Follow the links for classes, events, clubs, volunteering opportunities, connections to colleagues. So many opportunities available there with just one easy web address. So there are a few more things that I want to remind you of that Kat covered previously. In the fall, we have the Business Plus Impact Showcase, where you can see 30 or 40 organizations, clubs, opportunities. There's news and emails that you can get from B+I. There's a ton of centers and clubs at Ross and beyond at Michigan that can help you on your impact journey. I just want to thank you for spending the time with us to learn about impact at Michigan Ross and more broadly at the University of Michigan. And I especially want to thank our four students for sharing their journeys with us. It's been great to hear about how they managed their way, made their pathway through the University of Michigan Ross School of Business. I'm highly confident that this group is going to end up looking much more like Cynthia than like Martin. I hope I can say the same for you when we see you all 3 years from today. Take care.